Welcome back to AI for Founders. I am Ryan Estes. I am not AI, as witnessed by the terrible brightness balance on this video right now. I'll figure it out. I'm in a new studio. Today's guest is a master of emotion, attention, and brand transformation, Greg Logan, founder of Narrativity and author of the new book, Creating a Blockbuster Brand, Hollywood Storytelling Secrets for Business. Greg's background spans global ad agencies, award-winning short films, and the world's top brands. Think Google, Adobe, and Virgin. They come to him to make their messages unforgettable. In this conversation, we unpack how emotional storytelling drives decision-making and why AI might be making all your marketing sound the same, and how brands can flip the script and become the mentor, not the hero, of their customer's story. It's insightful, it's tactical, and if you care about standing out in a noisy world, this episode is for you. But first, some business. This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster, the podcast booking platform that turns founders into thought leaders. If you're building something remarkable, something worth sharing, Kitcaster will get you booked on podcasts that matter. You bring the story, we handle everything else. Outreach, scheduling, prep, you show up, talk shop, and connect with real audiences that care. Whether you're raising a round, launching a product, or growing your brand, there is no better time to amplify your voice. Join hundreds of funded founders and startup execs already getting results. Go to kitcaster.com and apply to be a guest today. Your audience is out there. Let's go get them. Kitcaster by Moburst.
Alive tonight, shining stars, computer light. Take the flight in the glow of neon bright.
Greg, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. I'm great, Ryan.
Great. Yeah. Thanks
Great
so
to be
much
here.
for coming on the show.
Of course. Always a pleasure. Nothing better than talking about yourself.
Well, to your point, I appreciate that you do. I do pretty extensive research on the folks I'm talking with for the show, and there's so much good stuff out on the internet for you. So thank you for talking about what you do so prolifically. It makes my job a little bit easier.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
So kind of a reoccurring theme on this show in terms of AI is that AI is going to be most successful if it helps humans be more human. And you kind of had this great quote that said, people don't make decisions based on facts. We buy with emotion first and then justify with logic. And this is, of course, in commerce, which you're an absolute expert in advertising and commerce. Maybe you can unpack that a little bit. What did you mean by that?
So there's actually scientific proof. Neuroscientists have done all these studies on the effect that storytelling has on our brains. And when we tell messages, and AI certainly tells messages through very rational ways, when we lead with just facts, it lights up 2 of the 4 quadrants of the brain. And so that can work. But stories or facts and messages told through storytelling lights up all 4 quadrants of the brain, including we get dopamine hits when we hear stories. It creates empathy between the listener and the teller. Their story becomes our story. You know, when we hear a good story and then we go off and later that night, we tell our partner this great story that you've heard that day. For that partner, that's your story. And then you tell that again. All of a sudden, that is your story. So can you imagine in business, if we can tell stories to our customers that they then tell on and on and on, and it becomes their story. So there's all these, and also stories stick with people. So when messages are told through a story, they're remembered 22 times more than if you just tell facts. So stories are powerful to engage us, but we do make decisions with emotion. If you think about cars, for instance, when you buy a car, It's an emotional decision. You either want to look like you're rich, you want to look like you're cool, you want to look like you're fast, whatever it is, that's why you buy the car. And then when people say, why did you buy a Mercedes? You go, well, they're safe. They're really well made. I'm going to get good resale. So you can see we make the decision from emotion, but we always need the rational facts to back it up and to tell people, because you're not going to say, I don't know, I just wanted to look like I was hot. You're just not going to say that.
Can I share?
But that's really why you do.
Can I share a personal story?
Yeah. Sure.
So this car thing came up recently for me. I've had a pickup truck for the last 15, 20 years. I mean, I always say that, I'm a Colorado guy. I'm from Denver. If you look up Colorado guy in the dictionary, you see a picture of me, my pickup truck, my golden retriever, and a flannel shirt. Like, I'm just kind of archetypically, that's who I am. Well, probably a year or two ago, I started looking at my lifestyle. It's like, I go hunting, fishing about 4 or 5 times a year. Can that really justify this gigantic F-150 I have parked in the driveway? And I started really feeling like it was just a ridiculous expense and kind of garish. Like I didn't need that. So I was like, cool. I'll trade it in and get an EV or something. And it took me like 8 months to finally be able to rationalize that, because it wasn't that the pickup truck. Rather, it was like I identified with that guy that has a pickup truck, so I really had to use that rational part, not to justify like, a luxury, but to rather go the other way, to go more economical. It was interesting.
Yeah. Well, you've really thought about it. Most people don't. Like, if you think about the success of RVs, most people have never taken them off the main road.
Yeah.
But they aspire to that. I can do that. Yeah. And there's a freedom in that. Right. And car marketing plays up on that big time.
Yeah.
So
quick introduction here and why I wanted to talk to you about this. You have a wonderful company called Narrativity, and you just released a book. Congratulations on that. Creating a Blockbuster brand, Hollywood storytelling secrets for business. And it's to your point, I think we all intuitively know that like the best stories sell the best. Nike's great at it. Apple's great at it. All the category leaders are fantastic at telling stories. Now, how do you see like Hollywood in particular weaving into what we'll call Madison Avenue or even SMBs? Like how can people start to begin to use what we know inherently about big business, but we understand inherently about Hollywood, telling stories into kind of our own businesses?
Yeah. So most people out there might have heard the phrase or term brand storytelling. And for many, many years, marketing experts have said brands need to become better storytellers because of what I just said, that we make decisions on emotion. And traditionally, for nearly 100 years, brands have just talked about themselves and said, this is our offer. This is our product benefit. This is our unique selling point. And they talked about themselves, and there wasn't as much competition. And people went, yes, I need that. The world's changed a lot. And you can't just go out and talk about yourself. You have to talk about why you matter to people. And people do have that emotional connections to stuff. So I spent many years hearing about why brands should become better storytellers. And I realized everyone told me why, but no one said how. And I thought, that's going to be my job. I'm going to give people the how.
Yeah.
So I looked at the most financially successful storytellers of all time, which are the movies. And I know that movies are written to a formula. So I've written some movies. They're really bad. They were not made, and they shouldn't have been made. It's not my strength. But I do understand the movies, and I was living in LA, and I pulled together all my screenwriter friends, and they helped me break down all the tricks and formulas movies use to hook us in, not just during the film, but writing the film to try and get people to the film, and also buy merchandise after the film. So all the great tricks that movies use, I broke down and translated them for what I know brands need. And there's really, really simple formulas, which I'll go through some of them during this podcast. But by breaking down the formulas and putting the audience at the heart, so they are the hero of every story you tell, not you. I hate to say it, but you are not the hero. Everyone has their own quest. They all are getting on with their lives, and they're the hero of their story. But if you can be the mentor, the wise guy that comes along a third of the way through the film to help the hero achieve their quest, then you're invaluable to them. So that's what I've done. That's what my book breaks down. I do this for the world's biggest companies all over the globe, but I've written a book, Creating a Blockbuster Brand, to break down each of those formulas, and I guide people through it so they can do it themselves. Because it's all great to go, yeah, become a better storyteller, but how? And so these formulas give you a structure and a roadmap to make sure you are engaging and emotive to your audience.
You know, just a couple of those logos too: Adobe, Google, Virgin. These are companies that have amazing stories. And when I'm thinking about storytellers for people tell stories. So when you're thinking about a brand telling a story, are you recommending that the person actually telling the story is the customer? Like, they're the storyteller, and the brand becomes the emotion that it's eliciting? Is that it?
Not so much that. If the brand is speaking, they're just putting at the center of everything the customer. So rather than saying, aren't we great? This is our offering. I work with my clients to say, what's your audience's greatest tension? Because that's what the movies do. They start with attention. You don't have a movie, you don't have a story if there's tension. There's no happy ending if there's no tension at the start. And for years, marketing experts have said, we can't be negative. We can't say anything negative in our advertising. We have to only be positive. Well, that's a load of crap. Like, you need to start and hook people in with a thing that really bugs them the most, because you've got them. And that's why movies work. We're hooked in because something terrible happens. And then you talk about how you solve it. And all of a sudden you're completely relevant to your audience. And so in my formulas, I talk about the audience, their greatest tensions, the things they hate, the things they love, and then what role do you play within their world? That becomes the powerful part.
The brand becomes the release. So you establish the tension, and the brand becomes the release. You know.
Yeah, and it's, you've heard again, and this phrase frustrates me, and I've banned my clients from saying it, but customer centric. And I'm like, well, I hope you're customer centric. Like, you know,
what are you doing in
else
business?
Are you there for? Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I just think it's hilarious. People go, you know what? We're really customer centric. Well, thank goodness. But this way, the formulas make sure you're customer centric. They're the hero of the story, and you're telling your story with them as the hero. That's why my clients have phenomenal success, because we've flipped the script from the thing I say is, stop telling the story you want to tell and start telling the story your audience wants to hear. It makes a big, big difference.
This is an important fact right now, because what we have is AI sinking into all the products. All the brands are now with AI, and it's the most ridiculous positioning. It reminds me of when like omega-3s were kind of trending, and it was like eggs now with omega-3, bread now with omega-3. It's like, do I need omega-3 in my bread? Like, what It's like the sugar now with omega-3s. Same thing's happening. Now we got butter with AI. Everything is with AI, and it doesn't tell that story. If you're a Fortune 500 marketing director, how should they approach like integrating AI? Obviously, you want to like make sure everyone understands your tip of the spear technology wise, but it seems like it's being done so bad. So, what brand storytelling is most essential in the age of AI?
Yeah. Wow. There's a lot there. And I totally agree with the AI is the new buzzword that everyone wants to say. I mean, to this day, I still have clients go, we need to say we're a fintech company. I'm like, no, you're a financial company in this day and age. Like, of course you're in tech. Like, that's how it's delivered. It's like, no, we're fintech. I was like, and now, yeah, it was like, we got to tell everyone it's AI. And I do a lot of naming. And right now, of course, I'm naming a lot of AI companies, and they all want to say AI or have words with AI in it, like aid or something. But I just move on. Just be a cool brand that uses AI. It's just part of the job. But look, writing in this day and age with AI it's so new. AI is actually so new. And for some people, they go, oh no, it's been around years. But it's so new. And everyone's kind of excited because AI can write for you really quickly and really well, because I'm a writer, but most people are not writers. So they go, oh, let's give it to AI. But here's the thing I'm seeing is my number one job. I do many things for my clients, but my number one job is to stop them conforming to the conventions of the category. If you're an insurance company, all insurance companies write like insurance companies. Gyms write like gyms. Podcasts write like podcasts, right? So and we can't help it. It's in our subconscious when we go, oh, I have to write for an insurance company. Our subconscious of years and years of hearing insurance companies writes like we think it should sound like, and then you show other people, they go, that sounds right, and you just reinforce the convention of the category. What's happening now is that AI is writing everything in every category, and AI has its own cliches, and it's reinforcing the conventions of the AI category, and everyone is sounding the same. And what's really interesting is, brands all want to be respected. They want to be unique. They want to be distinctive. They want to be trusted. But when you're sounding like everyone else, guess what? You're not going to achieve those things. And I'm seeing more and more experts write articles, and I know AI has written them. And I go, well, all of a sudden your expertise is out the window because you're sounding like everyone else. So you may not realize it, but AI is already speaking in its own cliches. Yeah. And I'm going to take you through. I've been pulling these together, and as I say them, you're going to recognize them. But here's some really overused AI terms. The first one I call the over-eager optimist. So you will hear, unlock your full potential, empowering you to thrive, revolutionizing the way you insert generic benefit here. This over-eager optimist, AI is very good at it. But what it is, it's very vague, it's inflated, and it sounds like every brand ever. It's trying far too hard without actually saying anything specific. So the over-eager optimist is not a great thing. Neither is the faux human. So AI will say, we get it. Let's face it. In today's fast-paced world.
Oh, totally.
It's AI's go-to attempt of sounding very conversational and very human. But by saying it again and again, it feels generic and formulaic. And it clearly goes, it rubs me up the wrong way because it's like, hey, the robot's trying to be my friend. And it's defeating the purpose. This is my current bugbear out of all of them. It's called the grand mission mic drop. And this is the formula, because it's not just X, it's put deep philosophical statement about X here. So for instance, Ryan, this is not just an AI podcast. It's a powerful roadmap for business in 2025. This is one I found this morning, because Toby's isn't just a coffee house. It's a microcosm of what coffee houses have always done.
Oh, yeah.
Or when I saw, we're not just making beer, we're brewing change. I mean, for goodness sake. So
Yeah.
this is the one you will see again and again and again. And and as soon as you see it, you go, hey, I wrote this.
Yeah.
It leans on the same pattern every time. And it's contrast, mission, and abstraction all together. And AI loves this because it scans really well. It sounds lofty. But it's so conceptually airy that I just roll my eyes every time I see it.
You know, one thing you pointed out was brevity is really important. You said by wasting words, companies are wasting a lot more. You know, I recognize all those AI cliches. You hear them all the time. What's a way you can avoid that? What is good messaging where companies aren't wasting words? What are the characteristics of that?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's something that I make my clients do. At the start of our session, I put about 20 words or phrases up on the screen. I say, oh, look, by the way, before we start, these words are banned. And their faces drop because they go, but that's all the words we say. And I went, uh-huh. And so does all your competitors. So do you want to sound like them? And they go, no, and then end a conversation. So first of all, be really aware. Like if you don't have me up there telling you these are the words you can't say, is start looking at your category and your competition and go, wow, these are things we say again and again and again. In fact, ask AI. If you ask AI the question, it will tell you.
It'll tell you, yeah.
It'll tell you the cliches. But then how do you write and avoid cliches is, look, there's many things, but the thing I try and do, and I think is just so refreshing, is you write like you speak.
Mm.
The more conversational you can be, the more stops and starts and using everyday words, the more genuine you sound and the more natural you sound, and therefore more believable and more trustworthy. So the way to do that is you can't do that by yourself. You have to do it in a group, and you'd say, how would you say this? And just get everyone to say it, and then write down verbatim what people said that you really like the sound of, and then don't change it. Don't try and conform to the conventions and the cliches and the corporate jargon. Just use it, and it will sound natural.
That's the hard part, is using it, right? The one thing I've noticed doing a lot of podcasts is the transcriptions of the things I say are a little bit incoherent, to be generous with myself. You know, the conversational English has darts and dodges, and they're moving around, and it's dynamic, and I'm using my hands right now and my face to tell you what I mean.
Yeah.
And when you put it straight into words, a lot of times it doesn't have the same frequency. It doesn't have the same fluency.
Yeah.
So how do you know when a run-on sentence ran on too long, and where you should step in and edit that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you should always edit. I mean, less is always more. And in fact, when I create a tone of voice for a brand, I would say 90% of them as concise or short or sharp, some version of that. In it, editing is very, very powerful, because you don't just want to keep talking about yourself. You want, and you got to value people's time. So you should edit. It's more, I mean, I love a sentence that has one word followed by another sentence that has visited one word. And what you're doing is you're jarring the reader. And if you jar them, they're going to be more engaged rather than just moving on. So that is the power of using the cadence of how people speak in how you write is very distinctive and very, very powerful.
Amazing. Greg, hold on just for 10 seconds. So sorry, but it's driving me crazy. I got to put it outside. Hold on just a sec. This episode is brought to you by Moburst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. Moburst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, Moburst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At Moburst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, Moburst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At Moburst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to Moburst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together. My goodness. Cool. Example.
I thought you were going to say,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
we got to stop for a commercial break, but no, you had to stop for the cat.
Yeah. Speak to us about brands that do it right. Who gets it well and who does a good job at this?
Well, there's the obvious ones like Nike. I mean, Nike is the GOAT. Nike is the greatest of all time of brand storytelling, of being emotive. Its tagline is a challenge, is an emotive challenge to its audience. It's not talking about the shoes. Like, that's what I was talking about, of stop telling a story you want to tell and start telling the one the audience wants to hear. And in fact, none of their stories are about their shoes. They're about athletes, whether they're the famous athletes that they sponsor or the everyday athlete that is you and I. And they pick big emotive causes to get behind. I mean, and they tell the stories so well.
My favorite one from
So, go
Nike
ahead.
was Bo Jackson, the whole Bo Knows campaign.
Oh, Bo knows. yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then the punchline, you got Wayne
Yeah.
Gretzky skate up and he's like, no.
Yeah. They just do it so well. And they've never dipped.
One more time.
So, they've never dipped. They've never dipped.
Yeah.
They've always stayed up there. Apple, of course, does it well, but in a very different way. They hardly say anything. Their story is their product. Like, they know that is sexy.
Totally.
And they don't talk about the product very much. They just make you drool.
Yeah.
And brands like Starbucks have always been great at it. But I'll tell you, there's three that probably that are a bit newer that are really good at it. My favorite is Oatly, oat milk. People don't realize it was a brand that had been around over 30 years in Sweden, and it was just this earnest, boring milk alternative. And it did very little outside of Sweden and didn't even do that much in Sweden. And then this guy took over and said, we're changing the tone of voice. We're going to be really different. And oh my God, they are now the world's number one oat milk. You see them in every country around the world. Their packaging is a story. They use the most distinctive, funny, edgy voice. and you just love them. And it's created a whole new generation of non-milk drinkers. So they are incredible. Then, sorry, Matt, I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot, I was muted. Sorry.
You're muted.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
No. And Liquid Death is really great. I mean, they're just pushing the limits, making people laugh in the most unexpected ways. They are not conforming to any conventions of any category. They're so great. And another recent success story in storytelling has been Formula One. Their Netflix series has just brought them a whole new audience and showing the real drama of the sport. And that is real classic storytelling and has really, really, really worked for Formula One. So they're three, apart from the big classic obvious ones, that I think do it really, really well. And I love watching them.
Yeah. I want to make sure, let the folks know where they can get your book. What's the best place to order the book?
My book, Creating a Blockbuster Brand, the best place really, I mean, you can get it on Amazon and websites, but if you go to blockbusterbrands.com, you'll find everything about the book, and it will show you how you can buy it. And there's often bonuses on there as well.
That's blockbusterbrands.com. Now, I admire authors because I am an aspiring author, but also super intimidated by the whole process. So, with the book, I'm sure there was stuff that didn't show up on the book, the blooper reel. What were some of the things that didn't make it into the book?
You know what? It goes back to probably the stuff that I was saying fundamentally about brands is don't tell the story you want to tell. Start telling the one the audience wants to hear. And my first draft, I was pretty happy with it. It was like, yeah, that's what I want to tell the world. And then I gave it to an editor and went, this is all wrong. This is all in the wrong order. You're not thinking about the reader. The reader doesn't, like, you understand this and this process. You do it day in, day out, but the reader will have no clues. And as soon as he said it, I was like, you're right. You're right. And he's like, you need a consistent structure. You need to tell them how long each chapter is going to take you, what they're going to be doing, where they are in the chapter, right? It's like guiding them through. And so knowing where they are. And so there was probably a whole lot of detail or probably rambling. So I'm pretty efficient. I don't ramble too much, but when we reorganized it and restructured it, a lot got pushed to the cutting room floor. But I can tell you, Ryan, it's so much better for it. And here's the thing is, we're really bad at telling our own story because we're too close to it. All my clients are really bad at telling their story because they're too close to it. My toughest client is me.
Yeah.
I'm too close to I can't tell my story. And then it was so wonderful in writing a book to have an editor who is an expert, as someone from outside who, even though it was a lot more work, I was so excited because I was like, you've shown me such a better way. And I really loved that.
It's encouraging to hear that the editor needs an editor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and then I actually got two editors. I interviewed a whole lot. And this one that restructured, I was like, you're really good at understanding structure and organization. And I want you to do that. And there was this other girl who just was so whip smart and she got my tone of voice. And so I worked with him first and we did the structure. And then I worked with her in just making it flow and using little tricks of language and making it more me. with her.
So excited to check it out. This has been an awesome conversation, Greg. Before we wrap up, are you ready for the lightning round?
What is the lightning round?
No, it's
Tell
just a
me.
series of fast
So I'm,
questions. Little anticlimactic. Just using some storytelling here.
no, it's good storytelling because you've caught the audience, me, by surprise.
All right, first
So
round.
yeah, whether I'm ready or not, let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Okay, let's just say you sold your book, the book rights for a multi-franchised movie deal for $1 billion. You got a bag with $1 billion. What is your next move? What do you work on next?
Mm. Mm. You know what I would do? I would create a whole lot of businesses based around storytelling. So that could be anything from really twisted greeting cards or theater in a new way. I would just create lots and lots of different things around storytelling, and that would be the thread. But I would just put all my money into amplifying storytelling in many, many different ways.
Cool. I love a good card, a good greeting card. I
Yeah.
had a friend once who had a company called Tree Killer Cards, and they're all just the most vulgar cards. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Vulgar cards are the best. Yeah.
If you were entering college today, kind of taking a look at the landscape in the future we're entering into, what would you study?
You know, this might sound controversial, but I wouldn't go to college today. I just think it's an outdated, archaic, money-grabbing, conformist, expensive system that doesn't really, which in the world of AI, like, I'm just not sure it's worth what it used to be. But if I was, it would be something in the arts.
Yeah.
When everyone's zigging, you got to zag. And I think that's the far more interesting future. As more and more AI does what a lot of really clever people have done in the past, you got to find a way to do something that only you can do.
I love that. I'm a brand. How do I know I'm telling the right story?
Well, I actually have a really good solution for that. I've actually had in many different ways people ask that question. So I've actually created a new website called storytellingquiz.com. And what it does, it tells people who have a business how well they're doing with their stories and their messaging. Think of it kind of like a messaging health check. And, in business, people always review the products, their service. They might do their look and feel. They might redo their logo. But hardly ever anyone puts enough effort or analyzes their messaging. And it's the number one thing that will tell people whether they should use you or not. So I've broken down all the key elements of good brand storytelling. So that's clarity, distinctiveness, tone of voice, emotional resonance, all these different things. And it's really simple. It's multiple choice. There's sliding scales. There's different buttons to press. It's really fun. It only takes a few minutes. But at the end of it, you'll get a scorecard of how your brand rate is currently rating in its brand storytelling. And I tell you what you're doing well and what you're not and how you can do them better. So that's a good way to know if a brand is doing a good job or not, is storytellingquiz.com.
So cool. Storytellingquiz.com. I'm looking at it now. It's 5 minutes. Like you said, it's interactive. You punch the buttons. It makes it really fun. Greg, this has been fantastic. I would love to have you back on and talk about storytelling. I want to make sure people go buy the book, Creating a Blockbuster Brand by Greg Logan. It's everywhere. Go order it now. Where's a good place people can connect with you online if they want to learn more, or if they want to work with you?
Yeah. My business is called Narrativity. So you just go to narrativity.com, and that's my business. If you want to work with me directly, and then Blockbuster Brands for the book, and check out storytellingquiz.com. All those .coms.
Okay, great. Well, in all the show notes, we'll have all the links so you guys can check those out below. Greg, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. That was fun. We could have told stories for much, much longer, but it's been really great. And look, I hope people really learn something and open their eyes to the power of storytelling in business.
It's the tip of the iceberg. Really appreciate it, Greg.
Thank you.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.